Good afternoon and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. The United States is set to reduce troop numbers in 3 more eastern flank countries. The EU says this highlights the need for Europeans to step up and do more for their own security. And so for more, we go live to our correspondent in Brussels, Alex Cadier. Good afternoon, Alex. So what do we know so far? And is there any more concise plan from the European Union to up its security?
Well, good afternoon, Claudia. What we know is that this reduction in troop numbers could happen as early as December. We understand that it would be a reduction in Bulgaria and Hungary and Slovakia, similar to what we've seen announced in the last few days in that reduction in force posture from the United States in Romania. Now, we've heard earlier in the day that Russian aircraft have yet again been intercepted by Poland in the last few hours, which will really bring into sharp focus the importance of military deterrence on Europe's eastern flank in Poland, in Hungary and other places to try and deter any further Russian aggression. Now, of course, that reduction in U.S. force posture will be a concern for European powers. They have been relying on these U.S. troops to create a buffer on the eastern flank. I also put that question to Anita Hipper, the foreign affairs spokesperson right here at the European Commission. She told me that it is important that Europe can keep relying on the US as a reliable partner, but it shows the importance of the European Union and European countries stepping up their game when it comes to defense spending, when it comes to defense coordination within NATO and within the EU. So clearly, this reduction in force posture from the US, which had been expected and had been announced by the Trump administration many months ago, now seems to be happening slowly. That will be an opportunity for European powers to step up, to better coordinate and ensure the protection of their eastern flank. Certainly the feeling is that a strong deterrent on the eastern flank of the European Union and of Europe could be something to prevent Russian aggression, hence the importance of stepping up those defenses. Claudia.
Thank you so much. That was Alex Cadier reporting live from Brussels. Polish MiG-29 jets on Friday morning intercepted a Russian Il-20 reconnaissance plane over the Baltic Sea. The Polish Air Force Operations Command said it was the 3rd time this week that Russian aircraft had violated NATO airspace in the region. The plane did not enter Polish airspace.
The Russian aircraft again flew without a filed flight plan and with its transponder turned off, posing a potential threat to air safety in the region. Polish pilots intercepted and identified the foreign aircraft, which was escorted according to NATO procedures. No Polish airspace was violated. This is already the 3rd such incident this week, confirming the increasing activity of Russian aviation in the Baltic region.
Unjustified, that's what the European Commission has called a ban on Ukrainian grain upheld by Poland, Hungary and Slovakia, despite a new and updated trade agreement between Kyiv and Brussels coming into force on Wednesday. The issue of Ukrainian produce has been a point of contention between the member states and the Commission since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
The harvest season has just ended, but the season for political struggles is just starting. Poland, Hungary and Slovakia are in a standoff with the European Commission over imports of Ukrainian grain, and the Commission is not beating around the bush. We can take you to court.
We do not believe there is any justification to prolong the export bans in the member states you mentioned. Based on that conviction, we will now engage with the aforementioned member states with a view to getting them to remove those bans.
But the Central European governments are unlikely to back down, especially Poland, where almost 9% of the workforce is employed in agriculture, compared to the EU average of around 4%. The government in Warsaw doesn't want to enrage Polish farmers, who protested after cheap Ukrainian produce flooded the European market in 2022, after the EU decided to make it wide open to support the embattled country's economy. Statistics show that after initial surge, grain imports from Ukraine fell by half, to roughly pre-war levels.
During a press conference on Friday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy addressed reports of Russian advances in Pokrovsk, Donetsk region, acknowledging the difficult situation and giving assurances that it remains under Ukrainian control. He stated that there is no encirclement, although Russian forces continue to amass nearby.
This morning, I spoke with the commander. There are no changes in Pokrovsk. Russian forces are present in the city. Our troops are destroying them gradually, little by little, while also taking care to preserve personnel. Russia is trying to increase the production of unmanned aerial vehicles, FPV, and other types, as well as guided aerial bombs. But even now, we see that they lack the capacity to significantly boost missile production. The issue is not only financial, they also face a shortage of components due to sanctions. Currently, 25 Russian companies are involved in producing the Oreshnik drones. Although the output remains small, only about 6 units per year, none of these 25 companies are under sanctions. It's very important to impose restrictions against them.
Russia's overnight airstrikes targeted Ukraine's rail infrastructure and damaged high-rise buildings in the northeast, according to local media.
In Sumy, emergency crews tackled fires that raged in an apartment block following attacks by Moscow's forces. The Kyiv Post reports that 15 people, including 4 children, were injured after Russia launched 10 drones at the city within an hour. Deputy Prime Minister for Restoration, Alex Cadier, said Moscow's forces had focused on targeting Ukraine's rail infrastructure. A key regional connection hub and maintenance depot in Sumy was damaged. Engineers were able, though, to restore services for morning commuters. In neighboring Kharkiv, railway lines were struck, forcing trains to take alternative routes and causing delays. The news site reports that Russia also shelled civilian infrastructure in the Zaporizhia, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, Mykolaiv and Odessa regions overnight.
Poland will soon start construction of its first nuclear power station. This is supposed to be a boost not only for the local industry, but also for Polish scientific community, as the country aspires to play a role in developing nuclear technology.
This is the construction site of the first Polish nuclear power plant in the north of the country, near the Baltic shore. So-called first concrete is expected in 2028, but much of the important work is already happening behind the scenes. Or, in this case, at a green-clad table in Warsaw. Signing of a cooperation agreement between Poland's best nuclear research center and Westinghouse, an American company that provides technology for the station.
We would like Polish science to be a part of those investments. We are new to this, but it doesn't matter, because this sector will be developing for years to come.
Right now, Polish scientists don't have any experience with commercial nuclear reactors. The only unit of this type in the country is strictly for research purposes, and it produces radioactive isotopes for Poland's hospitals. Today's deal is going to change that.
This is a strategic initiative. We want to establish a firm pool of competence, which will be used not only here and now, but also in the future.
But the ultimate goal is to also use Polish R&D capabilities to co-develop technologies Westinghouse is working on and use them in real products, like small nuclear reactors.
There are a lot of technical issues that I'm very excited that we're going to work on, that you're going to see in the coming months, hopefully announcements in how that cooperation is going to work.
If everything goes according to plan, the construction of the first power station should be finished by 2036.
U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump celebrated Halloween at the White House on Thursday, greeting trick-or-treaters. Children in costumes, including a few tiny Trumps, stood in line for the candy and autographs. And so this was your reminder to remember to get some sweets tonight. Coming up next, we have News in Depth. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you back here on TVP World in just a moment.